we hit on a couple of the sort of big ticket items there, that some of the more common assets. I don't, and I know you already touched on a lot of the planning strategies that you like to implement. I'm just wondering if there's any others. Someone comes in, they've got excess income or assets, and depending on how much time they have before they're going to need long-term care, what are some other strategies that you like to spend those assets down in order to sort of accelerate that qualification?
We always tell people there are two ways to get rid of money. One is to spend it, but only on things that make sense. And the other is to give it away, but you're going to have a penalty. Now, a lot of people think, well, let's talk about spend down first. So if dad is going to go require some form of long-term care, and mom is only going to be limited to $128,000, we don't want her to have bills coming up. So we try to look ahead. What's mom going to have to spend money on over the next 5 years that we could spend it on now out of the money we were going to give the facility? So one would be a car. Mom's driving around with a 10-year-old car. Maybe it's time to buy a new one, so she doesn't have to buy it out of her $128,000 when this one dies in the driveway.
Right.
Now, so we do that, and then we look at the house. Are there any things that need to be done by way of home improvements over the next 5 years that we could do now? Does it need a new roof? Does it need siding? Does it need exterior paint? All of those things. And then we look at the inside of the house. Does it need appliances? Does she need a computer? Does she need a new iPhone? Maybe she has some of these things, but they're on their last legs. So if you've got a real old computer, maybe think about getting a new one. You need new carpet, flooring, all that stuff. So we want to have no expenses over the next 5 years. What about debt? Do you have money that you owe for a mortgage, a home equity loan, credit card bills, loan sharks, gambling debts, drug deals gone bad? Settle all that stuff up now so you don't have to deal with it out of the $128,000.
Be proactive.
Buying a funeral is something. Do you have plots? Are you going to need plots? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want one of each? What's it going to cost? You don't have to spend that money now. You don't have to spend it until you're going to apply for Medicaid, but at least get some idea what it's going to cost and set it aside. And if you want to spend it now, you can do that. If you have an IRA, you want to convert it to a Roth IRA. Pay some tax now and don't have to worry about that later. By the way, if you have an IRA under the Secure Act, they just changed huge tax increase on that. So maybe you want to think about leaving it to a trust for a child with disabilities because they're not subject to the Secure Act. So think about that as a part of this planning. If you have kids who are taking care of you, you could pay them to do that. You have to have a written agreement. You have to spell out in great detail what care they're providing, and you could probably pay $15 an hour and get away with that, but they have to really be doing something. But a lot of these kids are providing care for free, and this is a way to get assets transferred from the person who needs Medicaid to the child without a Medicaid penalty. Now, there is going to be income tax for the child receiving the care, but sometimes it's cheaper to pay the tax than it is to pay for the facility. So something to think about. If you have a spouse who's terminally ill, what we frequently see is you have two sick spouses propping one another up. And now dad's getting to the point where he's going to need to go to a nursing home, but mom's not going to live very long. Transfer all the assets to mom, and she dies. She has to leave him a third, but she leaves the other 2/3 to the kids. No transfer of asset penalty. So we save 2/3 just from doing that. So they're the things that we use the most. There are a lot of others, but I don't think we're going to go through all of them, right?
No, it's fine. It sounds like you have plenty of tricks up your sleeve. I think that list was sufficient.
So these things are complicated. And I always tell our clients, if you don't have a headache by the time this meeting is over, I haven't done my job thoroughly.
Or they weren't listening.
We always stay with people. We give them a written plan. They get it in about a week. And then we schedule a follow-up in about 3 months after they sign everything to make sure that everything that should be done is being done. And then we have another one like in 11 months to make sure, again, that stuff that's supposed to be done is done. Because a lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to do this, but they're afraid of giving up control. They're really reluctant to do that, or they didn't understand something. So, you can't have stuff falling between the cracks if 5 years from now they're going to be spending $15,000 a month on a nursing home because you didn't understand something.
Yeah, the execution of the plan sounds like it's just as important as the drafting of these documents.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the other thing is customer service. About 25 years ago, we had the Ritz-Carlton Hotel train us on how to do customer service.